17,000 years ago, a teenage boy fell through a hole in the ground in the south of France. He landed in a cave, and when his eyes adjusted to the dark, he saw something that shouldn't have existed. Hundreds of animals, painted on the walls, horses, bulls, deer, running across the stone like they were alive. This was 1940. The cave is called Lascaux. And here's the part that still confuses historians today. These paintings weren't near the entrance. They weren't in a spot where ancient humans lived or cooked or slept. They were deep inside, in total darkness. In chambers you could only reach by crawling through narrow tunnels, carrying nothing but a flickering flame made of animal fat. Think about that for a second. No sunlight ever touched these paintings. No visitors were meant to casually walk in and see them. The only way to view this art was to go looking for it. On purpose, in the dark. So ask yourself this question. Why would a human being, 17,000 years ago, with no metal tools, no written language, and barely any technology, spend days crawling into pitch-black caves just to paint pictures no one was really meant to see? This isn't a story about art. This is a story about why humans started thinking, about the exact moment our ancestors stopped just surviving and started trying to understand something bigger than themselves. Is pure sachko samashne ke liye, whom is video ko 3 chapters main breakdown karenge, jahan akhri chapter sabse zyada unsettling hai. Chapter 1, the gallery. Everyone gets wrong. If you search cave paintings right now, you'll see the same image everywhere. A shaggy mammoth, a running bison, some stick figures with spears. And most people assume the same thing when they see it. Oh, this is just primitive decoration. Cavemen doodling because they were bored. That's the surface story. That's what gets taught in school textbooks. Early humans sitting around a fire scratching pictures on rock because there was no Netflix, no phone, nothing else to do. But here's where that story falls apart immediately. These caves have been studied for over 80 years now. Archaeologists have mapped every single painting in places like Lascaux, Chauvet, and Altamira. And a pattern shows up, again and again. The animals painted are almost never the animals they were eating. Reindeer bones fill the floors of these caves. That's what these humans hunted. That's what they ate day after day. But reindeer are barely painted at all. Instead, the walls are covered in horses, bulls, lions, rhinos, dangerous animals, powerful animals. Animals that were hard to kill or impossible to eat regularly. So the question changes. If this was just decoration, if this was just boredom, why paint the animals you feared instead of the animals you actually depended on for food? And there's something else, something even stranger. In cave after cave, researchers found handprints, hundreds of them, made by blowing red pigment through a hollow bone over a hand pressed flat against the wall. At first, people assumed these were made by adult hunters, grown men, marking their territory. Then, in 2013, a team led by archaeologist Dean Snow actually measured the finger length and hand proportions of these prints, and the numbers didn't match adult men. Most of them matched women, and some of them matched children. So now picture this. Not a lone hunter, alone in a cave, showing off his kill. Picture entire families, women, kids, crawling through darkness together to leave their mark on a wall no one outside would ever casually see. That doesn't sound like boredom anymore. That sounds like a ritual. And rituals don't exist without a reason. Something was driving this behavior, something powerful enough to make people crawl through blackness, generation after generation for thousands of years. To understand what that reason actually was, we need to go back further than the paintings themselves. We need to look at what was happening inside the human brain at exactly this point in history. Chapter 2. The moment the human mind changed. Here's a fact that surprises most people. Humans didn't start painting the moment we became modern humans. Homo sapiens have existed for roughly 300,000 years, but cave art, the kind we're talking about, only starts showing up around 40,000 years ago. That's a gap of over 250,000 years. So for most of human history, we existed exactly as we do now, biologically. Same brain size, same physical capability, and we drew nothing. Then, in a relatively short window, something switched on. Anthropologists call this the cognitive revolution, and the leading theory is chilling in its simplicity. At some point, the human brain developed the ability to imagine things that don't physically exist, not just react to the world, but represent it, symbolize it. Turn a real bull into a two-dimensional image on a wall, and have that image mean something. This sounds simple today. You do it constantly. Every emoji you send, every logo you recognize, every letter in this sentence, it's all just a symbol standing in for something real. But this ability had to be invented. And when it was invented, it changed everything. Because once a human could turn a bull into a symbol, they could also turn fear into a symbol, death into a symbol, the unknown, dark, terrifying parts of existence, into something you could paint, control, sit with. Now here's where it gets even more specific. Researchers studying Chauvet Cave in France noticed something in the paintings. Some animals were drawn with extra legs, blurred outlines, overlapping bodies like a double-exposed photograph. For years, nobody understood why. Then neuroscientists studying a flickering firelight ran an experiment. They simulated the exact lighting conditions inside these caves. A single torch flickering unevenly on a curved rock surface, and the animals on the wall appeared to move. The flickering light, combined with the natural bumps and curves of the cavestone, created an illusion of motion. Early humans weren't just drawing animals. They were creating something closer to the first animation in human history. Think about what that means. In pitch darkness, with nothing but fire, these humans built an experience designed to feel alive, designed to feel powerful, designed to feel almost supernatural. This wasn't decoration. This was humanity's first attempt at controlling something invisible. Fear, death, the animals that could kill you in one strike by trapping their image on a wall, deep in the earth maybe, just maybe, you could trap their power too. But here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. This need to control the uncontrollable by turning it into a symbol never actually left us. Chapter 3. The Cave. You're still crawling into. Here's the uncomfortable truth this story is really pointing toward. That teenage brain that crawled through darkness 17,000 years ago, carrying fire, desperate to make sense of something bigger than itself, that brain is still inside you. Think about what cave art actually was, stripped down to its function. Humans, faced with forces they couldn't control, death, danger, the unknown, created symbols, images, representations they could interact with to feel a sense of power over something that terrified them. Now look at how you spend your evenings. Every time you scroll through a screen, you're doing a strange modern version of the exact same thing, watching symbols, faces, moving images that aren't really there in front of you, but somehow still make your brain react like they are. The cave walls were firelit stone. Yours is a rectangle of glass in your palm. The paintings were bulls and lions, representing forces early humans couldn't control. Your paintings are notifications and likes and other people's curated lives, representing a status and success you're constantly trying to control, but never quite reach. And here's the detail that should really sit with you. Those ancient humans didn't paint in the caves where they lived. They went deep in, away from daily life, into isolation, into darkness, because the ritual only worked if it was separate from ordinary existence. You do the same thing without realizing it. You isolate, alone in a room, scrolling for hours, chasing a feeling that never fully arrives, crawling deeper and deeper into a different kind of darkness, one lit not by fire, but by a blue-white glow. The technology changed completely. The behavior didn't change at all. For 40,000 years, humans have been doing the exact same thing, taking what terrifies us, what we can't control, and turning it into an image we can stare at, obsess over, and somehow feel closer to understanding. Maybe that instinct is what actually makes us human, or maybe it's the oldest trap we've never noticed we're still standing in. So the next time you see a photo of Lascaux or Chauvet or Altamira, In a textbook, don't just see ancient art. See the first recorded moment a human being sat in darkness, afraid of something they couldn't explain, and tried to fix that fear by creating an image of it. 17,000 years later, the caves are gone, the fire is gone, the animal fat lamps are gone, but the darkness and the crawling and the staring at images we can't fully explain. That part never really ended. It just found a new cave to live in. And the only real question left is this. If our ancestors needed thousands of years and entire rituals and complete darkness just to face what scared them, what does it say about us that we do the exact same thing now just to avoid feeling bored for 5 minutes?